Both sides or just north?
east
I
side.
thought I clicked the
north side.
Okay. Just kind of,
We're not doing anything on the south side,
okay.
other than man, I'm gonna have to, right there, Pratt.
So you just kind of need something at the intersections?
Yeah, he's got, actually Stone Street's good,
Yeah, because he hadn't. up
and then he's
there.
got the one at Pratt, up there. I had one at Lee,
Okay.
and then at Harrisburg.
We're talking about manhole covers?
Well, I need to, I'm trying to decide if I got, at Harrisburg, I may have to move the fire hydrant back. I think I'm gonna have to. And I just need something to go off of so I know where the edge of the road is, back the curb to get me out of the sidewalk.
How are you?
We need to put some more rock in that manhole on, Hewlin Street too. Two big chug holes there.
Where we raised the manholes.
You put asphalt in one and the other one's still got rock in it.
Okay.
And it's got two big chug holes in it.
Right there,
I guess we missed that one.
Pratt, and Hewlin.
Okay.
We did the one up towards Diane Rogers, the end of the road. Down there, and then there's another one that we didn't have.
Yeah, it's pretty much right in front of Michael Rogers' house.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, it is 7 o'clock and we're all here. Maybe we can be done before James gets here.
I got 12 o'clock.
Say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First up is comments from citizens. Seeing none, we will close this section. Maybe open it later. Electric Department Activity Report. She's in our packet. Anybody have any questions? I will make a comment on down near the bottom of that. Did we show that we put in some monuments? All that we're overseeing?
Survey mark.
Yes, survey markers.
Yeah.
Number
We're
28. We did that last week, and since we're talking about those, the Midland GIS is in town as of today. They have started, so they will be working on our GIS and getting it going. So I'm looking forward to seeing the results of that when we finally get it complete. But the survey markers that we set will be observed by the state, and they will be put into the state GRS, Geographic Reference System, for the state. But they will be available for not only for us, but for anybody to use. They will have state line coordinates and everything on them.
Was that your equipment on it or the state's?
Now that's Midland's.
Oh, Midland's,
equipment on it now.
Okay, I've seen it
State
on a
will-
couple of them.
The state will observe them later.
Oh, okay.
And they will put them into their GRS after they observe them. They'll tie them into their other network, which is the other monuments up here on the north side of town. And plus probably some others. Any other questions or comments upon?
You might check a telephone pole over by the rec center. I drove down Lakeview and it looked like it was laying, it had 2 or 3 transformers on it. It's right on the fence.
Just by the water tower?
Yeah.
Water
Over by
tower.
the water tower.
Yeah, that one's been
That one's been here for.
leaning like that for 18 years, I know.
Oh, has it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I bet you now.
Probably ought to, it's one of the ones we probably ought to straighten, because every now and then I'll get asked about it, but it's been at that same exact spot for a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty well certain it's not going anywhere, but to ease people's minds, someday we ought to come to straight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments on the activity report? Next is the capacity purchase.
Did I explain this at all in the past?
I don't think so.
Okay. Buying power from Ameren Energy Marketing or anybody else has a couple of components. One is just buying kilowatts. The other is sort of a remnant of what used to be demand charges on the MISO grid. There is a value to having plant available whether you're using it or not. And indeed, you have to have enough plant capacity out there to be able to match what you're proposing to sell. So when we negotiated with Ameren Energy Marketing for the last contract, Cahokia and Marceline have power plants. They said, let's cut back on the cost by making our plants available. And everybody said, yeah. And so the cost came down for the whole group, and Hannibal and Centralia are paying small amounts, $300 or $400 a month to Marceline and Cahokia. It's in the contract for them making their plants available, the capacity. Whether they ever use it or not, all they gotta do is crank it up for a few hours once a year to prove that they work.
Yeah.
Or at least that used to be the case. Now there's something called the Rice Rule from the EPA, which basically said those kind of plants are terribly polluted, and you must basically retrofit them with catalytic converters, sort of, or not use them except in real, true emergencies.
Are they coal plants, I assume then?
No, they're diesel generators.
Oh,
They're big diesel generators. I mean,
500 kilowatt.
no, more like a meg or a meg and a half.
Okay.
Should be.
So then megawatt.
Yeah. Anyway, they have done their engineering analysis, and they don't want to spend the hundreds of thousands of dollars that it would take to put catalytic converters on there to make them available as rated capacity. So sometime during the next 4, 5, 6 months, we're going to have to, as a collective group, the 4 cities, go to Ameren, say, we can't make that available anymore. How much of an adder is it going to cost? And it'll probably be in about the same ballpark that we've been paying collectively to Coca and Marceline. We would pay to Ameren Energy Marketing instead. And it'll be on a regular bill, and we'll stop that. You have not have to sign those 2 extra checks. I don't know the implementation date. The cost to the city is probably a wash, but it will require a second amendment to the contract. First one being when they extended it from December of 2016 to end of May 2017 at the same terms,
Right.
which was a good thing. Just so they'd be on MISO's planning year. So, at some point, there will be an ordinance to adopt a contract to pay Ameren for capacity, and we will
Instead of.
also in the contracts with Marceline and Coca, and it shouldn't cost us anything.
The belief now is it's budget neutral.
I believe so. I'll wait until I get the real numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
but it's theoretically budget neutral anyway.
Well, the original numbers were based on the capacity market at the time.
Right.
Well, the capacity market hasn't changed. It never did develop to be the active market that MISO envisioned. It is set up to be truly a market. People buy and sell capacity for fixed periods of time, just like they would stop. But there's not that much of interest.
So we can't use our stock in Prairie State as our capacity?
Yes, but
And then we could start selling that to,
then we'd have to find it from
yeah.
it would mess up what we're being able to sell back into the market at, which isn't a whole lot,
Right.
but
Okay.
it complicates things.
Okay.
At the moment, I'm not sure there would be an economic development advantage.
Okay.
Although our consultant, Mr. Harbor, will tell us if the market changes enough to make the number crunching work.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right. Is there any other under electric department? Mark, you have
Move on before you want to say something. Yeah.
Wait long enough.
any, anything else?
No, sir.
All right, okay. Next is Public Works. The activity report is in our packet. Any questions? Comments?
I didn't have mine, I swiped yours, James, if you need it back.
Okay. Next up, streets. Anything under streets? Streets are still holding their own?
A lot of pothole patching.
I have been asked when the Switzer Street project is going to commence.
I have not heard anything from Christina. We've got a little bit, we got some storms that are left to finish up, and
Okay.
I haven't heard anything from her about when the contractor might be sure.
Okay.
They're gonna be delayed like everybody else.
Yeah.
They had any projects before ours,
Right.
it's treading water.
That's what I
And,
figured.
and,
There's
and if
no
we haven't got
telling
the, storm sewers completed, they are not gonna want to take much anyway.
Yeah, and there's no telling how long they've been delayed, where their projects were at, so,
Okay. I'll just,
yeah. I haven't heard anything. As soon as I do, no, we'll get it passed along, so.
all right, thanks.
Okay,
What do we decide on spraying streets,
pardon?
the streets? We doing that?
I did put it on the agenda, but that's the question I said I would ask. It will cost us to redo Columbia Street.
Oh,
for-
yes, I was gonna bring that up later, but,
Okay.
the dust control, we'd see here, we was under $600 what we did last year. And, I've actually got it scheduled if we wanna go ahead and go with it. He hasn't called me back yet because it's been so wet, so.
We doing,
And that was the other, Ivy Lane was brought up, residents over there asked me about it, if we could spray it. It's actually a little smaller than Columbia Street, so be a little, just a little cheaper, you know.
Yeah.
So we're looking at probably $1,200 range to do both streets.
That's really within the realm
if
of,
we do one, we ought to do the other.
we probably gotta do both.
Yep.
I mean, it's not that expensive that it's a big deal,
No,
so it's.
if we do one, we need to do the other one.
Okay.
Ivy Lane doesn't have the same amount of traffic.
No, it doesn't have as much traffic, but still.
And has a better base, but yeah, you're right.
So it'll probably last longer.
And you're only gonna get one season out of it regardless.
Right, right. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay,
Whoever asked you,
Lowell Hawk, he was one of them talked to me.
let him.
Yeah, I'll let him know, and I'll contact the dust control guy and see what his schedule's like. I'm sure it's been
Tell
tough.
tell him, given the estimated timeframe for lacrosse to relocate, he may want to talk to Denny about. some
Yeah,
training.
well, I'll talk to Denny.
Well, I did already,
Oh,
and
did you?
Denny didn't know yet.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
okay. That sounds good. Next up is, sanitation, trash truck and future service options.
yes. Did you hear when,
We're looking at about another 3 weeks at least to get our truck back. That truck has multiple wiring harnesses on it, and they're trying to trace down which one's damaged and goes to here, and trying to track them down from Freightliner and dealing with the insurance company. And he said we're probably still at least 3 weeks out to get the parts and get them back together.
Wow.
which is, the insurance company's gonna pay for that less than $100 deductible, but we can't go back in operation and get that truck.
Right.
Right, right.
With one possible exception. So, that is not a cost. The other lack of truck is a cost. The insurance company has done its research and concluded that the fair market value of the truck that is totaled is it's $118,000 plus a $100 deductible, $117,900. I'm happy with that. I think, given what we paid for it, they're being very generous on not having a lot of depreciation.
What did we pay for it?
137.
And how long we had that, how old was
Year
it?
and a half. I think we had
No.
a year and a half, didn't we?
No, 4 years.
4
4
years?
years?
Really?
That's probably, yeah.
I know, right?
I would say that that's not too bad.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Well, Armor told me what they would probably sell it for was not that high. So, I mean, that's actually a pretty good price, so.
Okay.
Well, it'll be up to the insurance company to come and remove the rails. But if that number is agreeable to you, I need to send the insurance company the title tomorrow, and they will cut us a check and they'll make arrangements to get rid of the old one.
Certainly reasonable to me.
So the first thing is, can I get a vote to
I would move that we accept the settlement with the insurance company.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Sounds good.
I suspected as much. Now, if you take that amount of money and you take what is likely to, well, should have been in the bank account as of March 31, not counting the closure reserve, but
Right.
unencumbered cash, that was about 73, I think. Then you have to pay out the extraordinary expense of renting from Danes. For the month of May, the bill was $21,520.26.
That was from Danny.
That was for Danes. Now, that's not a net cost to us, because that bill includes the tipping fee. Where, are they taking it to Columbia?
No, they're taking it to their
Okay.
transfer station. over
Their,
there.
their tipping fee is $38, just like down in Columbia. So it's a wash. Yeah. And so of that bill, $13,340 is labor and truck rental,
Okay.
and $81.80 is tipping fee, which we would have paid no matter what.
Right.
So we're running a little high so far this year compared to last year, but it's not a big amount, about 3%. But we're gonna have to pay Danes, and that's a net off of our available cash, and it's probably sounding like it's gonna be another 8 or so before.
We did our truck back.
So that means that we probably have 168 or so in cash available to buy a replacement truck.
We're not going down to the reserves.
With, yeah, if we can continue with what we've been doing and we get the truck back on the right schedule, we were going to be adding to our reserves by more than $20,000 this year, because remember, we were setting aside for future purchases. So I'm not terribly worried about it unless you want to go out and spec a $200,000 truck. Phil's been talking to vendors about trucks that will meet all of our specifications, except if they're demo unit, they're not in the clean unit. So we have basically 3 policy questions for you. 1, are we going to stay in the service or not?
Okay.
Then 2, do we go out for bids with a new set of specs, like we did last time? Essentially the same specs should be a sufficient cover. Or alternatively, do we go to one of the online vendors that has
Demo.
trucks available and they're at a fixed amount, so there's no negotiation, or at least very little negotiation. But we know we get them very fast, because if we go out for bids otherwise, besides getting to listen to all those sleazy truck salesmen,
Yeah.
you remember those, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could take you anywhere between 6 and 9 months to have it made to order.
Right.
And we think that there are some out there that are very close to what we had procured last time. They just aren't brand new.
Yeah.
A lot of brand new.
The one demo was a 2012 with like 10,000 miles on it, so.
How many miles do you usually put on a truck in a year?
Let's see here. The truck that burned had on that truck now.
I don't have the data here.
No, 40,000, something like that, 44.
This truck that is the 2012, how much is it?
157,
Set up essentially the same as ours.
close. It only has one cart chipper on the back. But he says they can move that and add the second one. You know, I mean, it would cost a little bit, but,
And
That
we-
would be-
But it's a whole lot faster than trying to order
yeah,
a new truck.
I mean, it's a done, built, ready to go truck. They built it and had it as a demo, and nobody really wanted a 25 yard. He said right now, for some reason, they're selling 20s.
Okay,
So,
We can't
What
go
was our
back to
previous one?
20s.
do what?
our previous one was 25?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I would recommend that we keep the service within the city as we have, and that we go with one of the trucks that Phil has found, maybe even this 2012 that you've been talking about.
We'll do another search and make sure that there is,
I certainly have no objection to going with a demo truck.
Here's one concern I have about the truck that we are refurbishing. There is a large possibility that that may never be the truck it was going to be before. I mean,
oh, it wasn't when we got it in the fire, it was already the backup unit.
I
Already
understand.
had almost 6 years of service on it by the time we,
I guess what I'm saying is that they could try to fix it, but it might not ever be right again.
It might not be. That's a possibility.
And I would hate to be leaning on it too hard.
well, if we're gonna stay, we either order a very, very good used one or a new one. And that one would go back to being just a backup. Backup truck usually means carrying the second route when we're on double trash route days after a holiday.
Or when the other ones broke down, or.
How often do you use a backup truck?
It varied from month to month. I mean, it may sit and not get used for a month, and the next month we may use it quite a bit if we have something go wrong with the truck, you know. I mean, sometimes we've had one truck break down and have it in the shop for a week, and may use it for quite a while. Just kind of depends. And if we get-
Other than that, it's used on backup routes.
Do what?
Other than that, it's used on backup, the second route on.
It's on, yeah, all holiday routes it's used, and, you know, just whenever the other truck may be in the shop getting serviced, or any kind of maintenance like that, so, I mean, it does get used. It just kind of varies from month to month, so.
So
Wintertime is most.
to answer your question, as a backup truck, it should be sufficient. I won't say it's impossible for both of them not to go bad at the same time. That has happened,
We've had both trucks down for several days at the same time.
and we scrambled, but we've coped, and it doesn't happen very often.
Well, it sure does sound like James is willing to work with us.
They've done an excellent job for the month we've been using them. I haven't really had any complaints that I know of.
Okay. Well, if we dispense with the idea of the truck, I mean, what's the pleasure as far as the truck is concerned? If we buy a truck, do we want to buy a demo, or do we want to go out for a new one and wait 8 or 9 months?
I don't see why a demo ain't gonna hurt us.
That's
It's
not a lot of
fine, I'd take the depreciation up front.
10,000 miles
I mean, the other one had 4 years on it, and this is only a year old, and we're gaining some, we're losing some, but it's,
We start to
It's
swap
available
over
now.
for building up money. I
yeah.
hate to say it, but the last time we bought a new truck, what did it take? About 3 weeks before something went bad, and we had to take it down to the shop. Something.
Yeah, it was pretty, yeah,
It was quick.
quick.
It wasn't major, but it was
Yeah,
a
it just-
damn nuisance.
Yeah.
So, okay, if we're in agreement on the demo, then the next question is do we want to retain the service, I guess, and, you know, under our control and our people, or do we want to look at shopping it out?
I'm for keeping it.
Okay, John? Catherine?
I gave you my recommendation.
Okay. Jane?
Yeah, I think we need to keep it.
And I really have no objection to keeping it. I probably would prefer that to shopping it out. So it sounds like we're was yours a motion?
I can make an emotion. I move that we retain the service here in Centralia as we've had, and I move that we purchase a demo truck that Phil has found through one of the
I will
vendors.
second that.
Okay,
Thank you.
we have a motion and a second. Do we need any more discussion on it? All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed?
We will, both of us, look at what's available, make sure nothing else has come up, and make a recommendation for purchase at the reservoir meeting.
Okay.
Sound good?
2 weeks from today.
Sounds good.
That really beats doing a bid pack. Let's get to be a pain.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay. Next up, storm sewer.
Got a little bit to do on Switzer Street, that's about it.
No, we gotta wait for it to stop raining, and we start pumping that one underneath the James Brown.
Well, that's gonna be limited what we can do there, but
Yeah, but we need to know, we need to clean out, get the storm sewer clean so we can examine it better.
we'll have to, we can clean some of it, we'll have to get somebody with a big suction hose.
Okay.
That happens too.
Yeah.
Same, well, next time we're pumping lime sludge.
They're
in town right now. Might be able to talk to those people doing the sewers, cleaning the camera.
Sign by tomorrow.
Okay. Okay, anything other under public works? Kathy? Next up, water and sewer department. We have an activity report. Any questions, comments, or other?
See, flushed all the fire hydrants. We got a lot of those. And then,
About 370.
Are we still having trouble with the reading the meters, or is this just pretty much with the with the amount of water?
They're starting to go back up, the amount that aren't reading each month, but the water just, last month I thought, we're gonna get everyone that didn't read the month before changed out. And it was only like, I think 36, 37. Changed all of them out, we had them ready to go, the guys got everything programmed. We had all this rain, we had 85 that didn't read this month. And it's just, the new Orion style, we had 2 that didn't read, and the only reason they didn't read is because somebody had hit them. And maybe it's we didn't have them tight enough, but they were down in the meter jar, no damage to them, but they had just fell down. Put them back up, and they automatically read. So, they're working great. These old blue ones are just killing us as far as, we'll spend the full day, the following day after we read the meters, getting readings, and then the next day is getting leak checks and stuff like that, so it's still a 2 to 3 day process. I talked to Lynn, I talked to Midwest Meter, we've got about 470 more of the blue boxes still to change out. And I told them to give me their best price, and they said that they would hold their $69.50 per radio that we're paying right now. And I know 2 other towns that are paying $81.50. I mean, they've been real good about doing it. I just ordered 36 more because we used everything that we had. And that's $2,500 basically, just for 36. But he's gonna hold his price for a while, because he said, I'd like to see you go ahead and get them changed out. Me too.
And there's how many of them left?
I got about 470.
How much would that be, Lynn?
500 times roughly 70 is 35,000.
32,665.
Okay.
That's a little much. I don't,
How much do we have in reserves there?
oh, we have adequate in reserves, it's an opportunity cost.
Can we replace half of them this year and half of them next year?
Well, probably wouldn't hold the $69 price for, through next year, so the question is, do we do it all at once or wait?
They're
A
kind
lot
of waiting to see
depends
what
on-
we're planning on doing as far as how long they hold that. He said he would hold it for another 6 months for sure.
We are getting closer to the point where the original purchase would have been cycling through anyway. I mean, it's not like we're really hanging out there. A lot depends on whether Mystic Ridge or Cobblestone Lake or Southwest Country wants to do another plat and add some more houses. I would lay a lot of money that at least one of them will do so. If the market for houses is tight. If more than one did, then we'd be putting in a lot of water line. And we wouldn't have anything to do left for line upgrades in other areas of town. But
Be a good time to get that where the citizen, the people pay for the water lines, get that, that's metered right there.
well, I'm writing the subdivision regs.
I mean, I'm kind of inclined, thinking of the lost time that we have in that department, that they're devoting to
3 days.
3 days a month.
We're paying somebody 3 days a
That's-
month.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
They could be doing other things that would be more beneficial to us.
They're gonna have to do the callbacks to check on making sure that things aren't leaks and that sort of thing. That's gonna happen anyway. Hopefully we won't have as many wetlands.
Thing is with
Yes,
the
you can
lines,
do it.
We can do it.
We won't be hanging too much. We ended last year with a lot more money than we had expected.
Right.
It got,
Chance had a, what's happening?
well, they're still doing that.
Okay.
They haven't cut back the way I thought they might. So I think that we're likely to have a higher retained earnings than I originally budgeted. So to that extent, I think we can do this.
I mean, I'd kind of like to see us do it and get it done with, be over with.
Now, I cross my fingers and hope that we don't have a pump go down.
Right, I realize that.
And then the worst that happens, Lynn, is that we have to dip.
And equipment replacement reserves, yes. We can do it.
I would make the motion that we spend.
If we buy them all one time, will it give us a better rate? 400. If we buy 400, someone will give us a better rate.
I can ask you.
If we buy them all at one time.
I mean, it's not like we have to make the decision tonight.
No.
I think that we need to move on this
Let me,
relatively soon.
And I agree with that, but
let me talk to him. I know the issue he may run into with that, but if he'll go ahead and honor it and say, I'll give you 200 that I can get right now, I may have to wait until I get the next, because, you know, Badger serves a lot of people, and sometimes they have trouble rationing them out to everybody, because everybody's changing. Let me see how many he can get and what he might do with that, if that works.
And if the price is locked down, you want to confirm that and we'll put it as a budget, agenda item.
Yep,
For our
I'll have him
regular
write
meeting.
some.
I think that's probably the way to go, but, we'll see what we
Because
are.
you're not gonna be able to
Yeah.
put 470 on them in all that quickly.
No, but I can get somebody on it as quick as possible.
I mean, that sounds good. I like the idea of, just seeing if there's any
yeah,
better
it
thing.
could
they
come
can do.
down on the price
Yeah.
if we buy 400, I don't know if we gotta have.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll put it on the agenda.
Okay,
let's go for a military discount.
sounds good.
Military discount.
Okay,
Here's my cannon, I take your stuff.
Yeah, right.
Is there any other underwater department that,
Yes. Lynn had to bring up pumps. We had a raccoon decided to die out of the pump house out northeast.
committed suicide?
Threw a couple fuses and in the process burned up one of the Oakland flow pumps. Probably looking, and Mark and I were just talking, we're thinking maybe around 2,000. Just to let you know that we're gonna have repairs coming from S&S that's down there right now. The biggest problem with not having that pump is I need to be sending all the water I can up to those fields.
Right.
Because we are starting to get pretty tight. Matter of fact, I'm pumping a little bit out to Sims right now, just to keep water moving. And we're still going through the overflow with the large pump that we have, but it'd be nice to have the small and large both going. But you will be having a bill come in for that. I got a couple others here while we're, or at least one other. In Cinch Form started today, cleaning Cameron sewers down on Jenkins, Sims, and Bruton, Barnes, that area there. They're planning on doing all the camera probably within the next 2 days. They'll take it back, review it, see if there's anything that stands out. If there's not, they're planning on being here the 17th to start the launch, which is marvelous with the rain that we're getting. Get them done as quick as possible. It's a pretty bad area.
Yeah. Okay.
So it'd be nice to get those done.
That'll help your, possibly look of the year.
We're making headway. We're definitely seeing that. We're making headway. And on the, back to the lift station situation, we're gonna kind of look at maybe a possible winch setup that we can set up out there. Right now, every time, we're still having to pull the pumps. Not as much, but every so often. We've added tighter bar screens and some actual manual bar screens we can put out in the system to try to isolate, maybe catch some of the stuff before it gets there too. But we're looking at a winch system that I can set up. We've got a winch that we use at the water plant to change the filter sand and rock out. And if there's some way I can use that and incorporate it out there to pull the pumps and bar screen if we need to, I have to call him right now. So not only does it something we're having to do, I'm having to get one of his guys to go out and pull it. So I'm looking at the way that we can do it. It looks like we're gonna be doing this from now on. I'm talking to people and they're all fighting this.
Other cities, you mean?
Yeah. This stuff just doesn't break down, it's causing problems with pumps. So, just to let you know,
You were gonna go to Dwight about setting up the frame for the winch, or?
I'm gonna talk to him. I found one vendor that actually has something already put together, and if I can use it, what we've got at the water plant, and just adapt it to that.
Because you don't leave that day in and day out, only the next time we have to do it.
Yeah, we did.
Once every 5 years, whether we need it or not.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll try to see, get the best deal there.
That's one question I was gonna ask was, I saw you were pull pumps.
Yeah. It's twice a month maybe, maybe. I mean, Randy's doing a good job. These new bar screens are helping stop it before it gets to the pumps. But it's also created a little more work where sometimes I have to send 2 people out because the bar screen being so heavy that I don't want him to run in. That's another reason why I'd like to get something set up to make it a little easier on him, even if it's a crank winch, something like that.
What's the debris that's hanging up?
You know, we thought, and still kind of leaning towards these Swifter pads. People are flushing these down the sewer, and they're about that long, and they just don't break down. You can take a spade and drive them in the ground and pull it right back up, and it doesn't tear, it doesn't do anything.
And there's
It
no
gets
reason why
wound
you
up.
can't put them in the trash. Absolutely not.
Yeah, but anyway, it wraps in that impeller on those pumps, and we just pull it out strand by strand, and shuts down. Randy's real good about checking the amperage on them every day to see if they're starting to pull, and if they are, he immediately has him go out and pull it and get it before it gets in there and burn something up. So maybe another item for next year's budget, we can get another pump just to have in reserve. We've got one new one and then our old one, and we had to pull our old one a couple times. It's definitely not pumping like it was. We're using it as a backup, so I may be looking at getting another new one and saving the other one, because it'll also work out the overflow. So that would be a advantage having an extra one there too.
You get one of those that got the chopping blades on the impeller and chops all the
The
stuff.
problem with the setup we got,
This one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
our setup's a little limited on what we can do with this without making a bunch of changes. Got one of the pump guys checking into that, though, see if there's something we can do.
Brandon pump, kind of. Question is, if these sheets are so resilient, how well will they chop?
And
Depends on how sharp your blade is.
They may start sharp, but they may not stay sharp.
Yeah. There's a lot of cracks go through
there's
there.
some good YouTube video footage there, if you ever want to sit and watch something get ground up, they've got some pretty wild stuff they feed into these things to see what they do.
Yeah,
So,
All right, I'd be interested to know what the possibility is.
that's all I got.
Well, that sounds good then. Well, we won't say it sounds good, but it doesn't sound as good as we're gonna get.
Yeah.
Okay, there's nothing else under water and sewer and other advice on wood piles as nuisances. I know which one this one is.
Yeah, In the past, when we've had people bring in loads of wood, and we've had neighbors' complaints to rectify unsightly situations, Sandy sent a letter, quoted part of the city code saying neatly stacked wood. Now, the question has been brought to me,
What's
does neatly stacked mean like cordwood, everything parallel and confined, or does it mean stacked in a way that minimizes the water runoff, or maximizes the water runoff? So,
You mean like a round tile,
Yeah.
stacked on end?
yeah, which can be asserted to be neatly stacked, it just doesn't always
Looks
look different from what isn't neatly stacked.
right.
So,
What about
direction from the
street?
board, what do you consider neatly stacked?
I know where you're at.
I know exactly where you're at, stacked on the street,
It's just calling me as odd.
Where was it
over
stacked?
behind the high school.
There's at least a cord.
Yeah, there's a cord and a half of wood stacked on the street.
It's neatly stacked.
You got a sign that says?
It's stacked orderly in the street.
He actually cuts that for his parents, and then, I don't know why he's keeping it there, so his parents, really, that's what he's doing with
State's right or on the street?
it.
Snowplow would have been entertaining there.
Well, there's a street cut right there, we'll never patch if he never moves it.
So you want us to define neatly for you?
Give me some instruction. We did the historical way that I've been instructed, which is like cordwood. The citizen has his own viewpoint. I don't want him, since the ordinance is not particularly clear.
Well,
Even when you think it's clear, it's not
Yeah,
clear.
it shouldn't be in the street.
I know
No, it's
exactly
not on the-
what you're talking about in the way of stacking, and I don't really have a personal objection to it being stacked that way. This doesn't look as neat. It does shed water better, at least to a certain degree.
On the other hand, I know of another location, which I believe is Walnut, where it's just looked like somebody tilted the truck back and let it all roll out.
Actually, I think he straightened that up.
Well, I think Sandy's saying no.
No,
My thing is you send somebody a nuisance letter, and then you got other stuff. You know, Narragansett fee falls into the same thing. Until you do something with that, how can you send somebody else a letter?
Until we know what, well, the problem is if I can't successfully prosecute one, does that mean I give up prosecuting nuisances?
I'm not saying that, but, you know, you've been fighting this for years,
Right?
and now you send somebody a nuisance letter.
But the deterioration is happening faster there now.
Well, I mean, you give him so many days to work on it, and he hasn't responded back on any of them days. And then you send this guy a letter and give him 3 days.
I think it,
It seemed commensurate with the degree of difficulty. And had he called and said, oh, I can do it in a week, I probably would have said, sure.
Okay,
We do that with mowing.
What if he'd have brought it up here and said, until you do something with Narragansett?
I'd have said, no, you can tell it to the judge.
I mean, that's where
I mean, it's like you stop giving traffic tickets to everybody because one person didn't get caught or let loose with a warning because they were doing 15 mile an hour on the speed limit.
I mean, it's just hard for me to send somebody a letter that falls under the same ordinance, and you've been fighting this guy for years.
Different ordinance, but yeah.
I mean, it's a nuisance, and so is this, so, I mean, that's just hard for me to see.
I would like to see, talk about the Narragansett building, I'd like Clifford to come to the council and,
Keep walking by and I haven't caught him.
yeah. I
Does
mean,
he have a building permit? I mean, a permit to actually redo that building?
Yes, he does.
Is it up to date, or is it expired?
I don't think there's an expiration date.
No,
Is it?
building permits do not have an expiration date as long as somebody says they are working on them. I know, I know.
Yeah.
We went through this with the judge in that case.
Yeah.
He presented his engineered set of plans and what he was gonna do to get rid of the second floor and put a new roof decking on the first floor, and yes, he has a valid building permit that has never been revoked.
How do we revoke the building permit?
Yeah, what's the process for that?
Well, the only thing I will say is I really don't want the city to end up owning the building. I'd much rather it be his problem than our problem.
And there's two of us.
But the building seems to be in an increasing state of disrepair as time goes along. The snow last winter, the three big snows that we had obviously did their damage. My suspicion is the old rain we're having is taking its toll also.
Yeah, I agree with all that. But if it falls on the street, then we're gonna have to go clean it up.
Yes. But if it implodes rather than explodes, it's not our problem.
Then we're just gonna have a big trash pile there, then it's gonna be our problem.
But then we will have to see
Then
if
we
it
can,
gets
then we can
taken
send
down.
him a letter. Tell
Then
him
we can
it's
send him a
trash
letter.
pile.
And he'll say he's trying to repair it.
He needs his bricks orderly.
At some point,
Right.
and I've already expressed my opinion to him that I think the building is beyond saving. Obviously, he has a different opinion.
I mean, the last time you all went and talked to him, how many days did you give him? To return to us of what he had been accomplished.
What was his timeline? 3 months or 6 months? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
It was 3 or 6 months.
I'm not sure it was a voluntary timeline, but I'm not sure it was that
Yeah.
specific. And once again, all he's gotta do is keep a diary saying he's worked continuously.
I can't
Well, that's
remember
easy to
the
write down.
specifics, but I thought at the time he was giving some
I
fairly
worked on it for 2
specific
hours.
targets.
I will find the transcripts.
And I was thinking,
Yeah.
that he had played it so well, and
Well, I
I
know
thought he
Matt-
was messing up at the time.
Does Clifford have a wood pile too?
No, he just got a bunch of junk cars sitting around there.
You know, I know. Other machinery.
Clifford also has a business license to repair cars as well as small
Yes.
engines.
And he's got his own to jump cars there.
And it's zoned industrial.
Yeah. I remember Merritt had asked him specifics as to timelines and stuff like that, so.
I'll find the
I don't
transcript.
remember what exact.
Then you're wanting advice on wood piles, right?
Yeah.
Just,
I haven't seen the offending wood pile, but I would think that if it were stacked, either way, if it were stacked and neatly, relatively in some kind of organized fashion.
It is apparently
Well, is it-
compact, let's put it that way.
It was stacked like the Amish stacked their wood.
I haven't got a problem with that.
I don't either.
I mean,
It does shed
if
water,
he
man.
It
dumps,
sheds water, good.
if he dumps it with the truck and starts at the backyard and sprinkles it out to the front yard, that would be different.
That's not orderly stacked.
That's,
That's, you know.
I wouldn't think so either, but if it's, I don't think
Shade
that
water
we
like
ought
that
to be
has some
so
implications. There
burdensome
is
on property
somewhat
rights. It's,
Yeah.
It's certainly orderly.
To get back to fairness, the reason he got into us in the first place was it's in the backyard, not terribly obvious except to the neighbor who's trying to sell the house.
Imagine that.
did you say it's fair?
And the realtor turned her on to it.
To be fair.
Is what I heard.
Okay, I had-
That's what the guy told me, that the realtor turned her on to it.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I had not heard that.
And then you go out to his subdivision, he's got a mulch pile and a rock pile out in our city street.
For construction of a new house, yeah. There's a permit on that cul-de-sac.
Well, there being houses built in that cul-de-sac right now.
Well, what's piled there is for the house that's being constructed.
Pile of mulch?
And the,
That's a
and the
stretch,
dirt and the
Lynn, that's a
rock.
stretch.
How far along is the house?
I feel like
We
I'm
ain't
on the
even done
right.
footage yet.
Well, it's
Yeah, we haven't, because we're doing the
a
house.
little bit of a stretch.
We're doing the house in lot 11, we ain't even dug footage with it. We got it laid out, we ain't even dug footage.
We could go back on all the dirt and mud there, let it wash down the streets without
Yeah,
any
I
erosion
mean,
control, which is
they ought to
actually
have
against
silt
DNR
fence up.
rules.
They ought to have silt fence up.
That's according to DNR over an acre of.
Okay. To drive around offending subdivisions and figure out what you guys are talking about.
I want to see this wood pile.
Dang, this place is
The wood
going
pile's
to happen.
The address is, John, the address is Winset.
No, I told you about that though. That's why I did call you.
Okay, I thought, Winsett Court, where's that?
Off of Hampton Drive.
Yeah.
What is it?
Where's Hampton Drive?
It's on Mr. Colson.
Oh, look, it's already drawn up there. Oh, okay.
Ocean is right.
Is that, like the new subdivision down there then?
Yeah.
Okay.
In here somewhere.
40,
Right,
and you have Hampton Drive that goes that way, there'll be another street somewhere. Yeah. Winset is the cul-de-sac.
okay. Okay. Next subdivision then? Yeah,
I just love Bagsville.
okay. It sounds like though that our consensus is that neatly stacked would be including the Amish.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
consensus.
Okay.
Okay.
I wanna try to stack one herringbone.
As long as it's neat.
And I'll get a lot of air into it, right? Right.
That's it.
Okay.
I don't know what the way the Amish stack it means either.
Round pile with, on the end where it'll
Big
shed
stack.
water.
okay.
Yeah, like teepee.
Kind of like in a dome shape.
Looks like a beaver's dam.
Yeah.
I want to see this.
Yeah,
it's in Cleveland.
Clayton, the east side of Clayton.
It's gone. He's already cleaned it up.
Okay. All right, move right along.
Okay. Any other that has come up, as may arise, I guess, would be our next.
I have one, but I'll defer to the Alderman first.
Any of the Aldermen have that may arise?
So are we having Clifford come next week to meet?
I'll keep my utmost.
I won't be here next week. At annual training, maybe at the regular council meeting. I might give it 2 weeks.
All right.
Yes.
Regular council meeting's good.
I give you 2 weeks to
Okay.
contact.
I will feel,
So do you wanna take turns staking out the place to offer the summons to him?
Mr. Mayor?
No, it's no
Will
summons.
these take 8-hour shift, or what do you want
it's
to
a
do?
friend, it's
A friendly
invite.
visit.
Okay.
All right, Lynn,
I'm not
up to you.
Okay.
afraid now.
Phil has a coat and a half. on one
Part of it's
side,
second coating, just, yeah, we got part of it left finished second coating, so.
He's got a little bit of caulking and it's close.
Okay.
Although it's a little muddy right now.
Yeah, we'll have to let it dry a little bit to get the lift back in there. so.
Very close.
But it looks very nice.
I had several comments that it looks
I have
like.
to, right now. Good job.
We'll be starting on the B-roll later, so.
So home stretch is coming. And I got a visit from people at Carlin saying, now is the time to talk about purchasing a lot.
Okay.
So, once again, where it stood was, we advertised in the paper, only had one interested party being Carlin's. And the board also told me they would prefer to make the first offer with the idea of economic benefit, economic development to one of the two adjacent property owners. Carlin responded, because it took us so long, I later had a couple of informal inquiries. that have not followed up. Is the board comfortable with standing by the original thought of offering it, or at least negotiating and seeing if we come to a reasonable price with Carlin's? Or do you want me to go farther and sell it to the highest bidder by, I don't think sealed bids is the way to go on property. I think either the mayor, myself, or a real auctioneer would best be suited to do that, suitable advertising. And if we just do it with the one negotiation, do you or do you not want to spend the money on a formal appraisal to justify to the public that we didn't give it away?
How much is the appraisal going to cost? Ballpark.
500-600?
I think we should do that, and I think we need to go ahead and honor at least our little agreement with Carlin's.
I suspect that the appraisal is not worth the money, but it's.
There's not a lot of comparables in downtown Centralia.
Yeah, I have had an informal, person talk to me informally about buying it and had a use in mind for it. It was an intriguing idea. I don't feel at liberty to divulge that.
I would ask, is it possible that we entertain offers other than Carl? I mean, I agree that we should probably have a preference. But if there's another economic benefit for the town, I'm not sure that we should exclude somebody else if they've got a valid proposal for putting that back on the tax rolls.
I agree with you.
I think that Carlin probably has, through location, a distinct advantage. But I don't know that we can exclude.
Do you want me to put it back in the paper and reopen negotiations?
Is it possible to sell it with the idea of some kind of proposals and
Yes, it
best
is.
use?
It is possible to do that, to ask for RFPs is more difficult to get, to convey in an equitable manner what you really expect in an RFP.
RFP,
And it's
stand for?
request for proposals.
Thank you.
And it's not reasonable for somebody to spend a lot of time in engineering study and that. given
I agree.
What I suspect is is a property of limited value right now.
Well, we've got a couple of weeks yet before, maybe depends on the weather, before we can finish up with the paint.
Sure, we've got about 3 days. We'll be done.
Let me approach this other person and see how serious they are, if they are serious. It's an interesting idea.
So bring me up to speed though, because we posted it for sale at one point in time.
I advertised it in the paper
If anybody's interested.
and actually gave it, I think, 3 weeks, a long time, and received exactly one response. That was Carlin's. Carlin's has a definite proposal. Put a door in, you pave it enough to make it an outdoor dining facility. Given that I don't think that's gonna happen with the black hog up at the corner anymore, they may have they may have a market cornered. That's another one we had. I thought I had that one all worked out, and now it isn't working out.
And how long ago did that occur?
9 months, a year, I'd have to go back and look.
Been a while.
And that's the trouble, had the council said, yes, go, and we had been in a position to do it at the time, we probably wouldn't have had your contact, the contact that I had, which was from somebody who said, basically, my daddy builds butler buildings, and I would like a retail building downtown over the city of Escalon. But it wasn't, it was so nebulous that I had my doubts about whether it was ever gonna come about, or whether the person involved would be better suited trying to acquire the existing building and spend a lot less money for it than it would take to build a building.
Okay.
Does anybody on the council feel like they've already committed to anything?
I do, that's why I suggested that we go ahead and honor Carlin's commitment.
I was the one that drug it out to the extent that I did not feel comfortable recommending a contract until we were in a position to sell as is. With the paint, seal, it's not paint, it's a seal on the walls, then I'm comfortable selling as is. Don't need to put rock or pavement in there, that depends on ultimate use, but we'll have done what we need to do and wash our hands of it.
Okay, so we have two ideas out there. Sell it to Carlin's, make our best deal with them, or put it back out.
I'm almost for putting it back out there.
I mean, it has been quite a while since we have had it out there. I don't know what the best way is. I'm not sure we're going to get a lot for it regardless.
Let me clarify something, Kevin. We didn't make a commitment that we were selling.
No, well,
We,
I told Carlins that I couldn't do anything until we were in a position to sell. I told them that the council had agreed that I could negotiate with them, but I wasn't in a position to do that. And then they knew that because of the person that approached me, that there might be other interest and the board might not be any longer in the position. They're aware of that.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like they're gonna say the city did it in bad faith.
Reneged or something, yeah, that's all I was.
and I think, I mean, we kind of expressed, like I said, a preference towards adjacent landowners. I mean, but I'm not sure that it's hard to negotiate with somebody that you basically said, I'm gonna sell it to you no matter what. You've got no bargaining.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that's fair towards the city's interest. I mean, quite frankly, let's say that they have a wonderful proposal that would generate all kinds of economic activity. It might be in our interest to sell it for $1 over somebody else that would give the city
Did that
a little bit
or a real close.
and have no future benefit.
Yeah.
We did do something close to that.
And the reason you're telling me this is because it backfired, didn't it? All right, fine. Let's just cut.
No,
Bad idea. I'm sorry.
it's not a bad idea. It just didn't work the last time. We
Our experiences, it didn't work well.
we inherited a lot over next to where Brown's Plumbing is,
Okay.
and we got it for free. It was in somebody's will. It was the city's when I got here, and the council said, we want it back on the tax rolls. We put it out for sealed bids. And I think it went for $50 or something.
Was it across from the dry cleaners or was it?
It was across from the UE building.
Okay.
Okay.
It went for next to nothing, and it languished as a vacant lot for a long time.
Okay.
But
What do you think?
I think it's a road going on trying to put some proposals.
Jim?
I don't know, I'm an honored I commitment kind of guy, so.
There's not a commitment though, I guess that's the point.
Certainly wasn't a written contract, and
And we never.
they do not have, they have told me that they understand that there are political considerations, and if I have to do something different than just sit down and negotiate, then they'll understand. So, they didn't make a commitment other than I wouldn't make a commitment until after the work was done. Now, they certainly want to be in the ball games.
Oh, sure.
And they made frequent
And I would expect-
Yeah, I would
contacts
expect
to
that.
me to make sure that we don't go off and do something and do not give them the opportunity to participate.
Right.
I probably talk to them every day, we were up there painting, they're very interested.
Well, I certainly want to make sure that they're in the loop. I don't want to cut them out by any means. But,
I'll say it again, I have a preference for selling it to them, because I think I know their plan, and I would like to be a customer of that plan. But
yes, I would tend to kind of agree with that, but I'm not sure that we really ought to just, without doing anything else, just only negotiate. If there's something else viable out there, let's see what there is.
Then how would you propose putting it back out there if it's not a sealed bid sort of deal?
Well, we've got,
RFP,
A request for proposals can be fairly simple, because like I say, James,
yes.
please.
Okay.
I don't think that
Yeah.
that thing's worth more than $20,000.
What, you got a camera up there?
I just, you're blowing it, you're blowing it.
I'm blowing it. Damn.
Suddenly,
Heather won't put it on the YouTube.
Exactly.
I could be wrong,
Edit
but
that part out?
given the number of sites in downtown available, I think it has limited value and it has more value to the adjacent property owners.
In my conversation, I would be surprised if they would offer anything like that.
We're not gonna get rich, and that's why investing in an appraisal.
Is probably counterproductive.
Yeah.
And-
I did some
and-
informal feelers with some people who are in appraisal business and got a decided lack of interest.
I would say that's probably right. You're probably better, or just as well off asking the realtor, what they think they could actually sell it for. For a realistic idea of what the price is, because they're really not gonna be interested that much in selling it, the commission would be so low. That they wouldn't have a lot of interest, they'd probably give you a reasonable idea.
Well, that would become part of the negotiation process.
Yeah.
What I'll do is put that in the paper, saying we are requesting proposals for acquiring the property, and we would like to know the proposed use, the degree of investment that would benefit the city, whether it would increase employment, and a ballpark figure of what they would have in mind to give it to us, so then having all those in front of me, we can make a decision. It's still terribly subjective.
Or almost one of the proposals in front of you, whichever the case may be.
Well, I know I will get one.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's subjective, kind of like word neatly.
Now, it's my understanding,
It's much,
it's my understanding that when we're in negotiation for sale or purchase of property, that can be done in a closed meeting as not to tip the hand of the
Can be, doesn't
prospective,
have to be.
The bidders?
the bidders, and because it could potentially be an ongoing negotiating process.
Yes, and if somebody would prefer to keep their idea closed,
Kind of secret?
that might, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we could, to the extent that the whole board wants to be involved, we could have a closed session
That would be my preferred.
and open the proposals at that time.
That'd be
yeah,
my preferred.
discuss the merits.
And ask the people making the proposal to be here but not in the closed session, so that if we have some questions or ask for some extra information.
They could be there to negotiate or explain further there.
And the thought of all this would be not to get the biggest cash return for the property, but get the biggest economic benefit for the city.
Sure, absolutely.
Once the call for proposals is closed, I'm not 100% sure that you're actually following the sunshine law there, but I will get back to you on that because we will have some time before this actually
Okay,
happens.
well, the alternative there is that the council will have to trust me, and I will do it as a single person, and then we.
I know what you're trying to avoid. You're trying to avoid the thing that happened with, what's his name, the welder that one time. But I'll get back to you on this.
Okay. Certainly, we want to have the greatest degree of transparency that is fair to the public as well as to people involved.
All right,
I'll write it up and email it to everybody for comment.
sounds good. All right.
It's not gonna be able to be in Wednesday's paper.
We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.